I realized now is the time for me to leave, because if I don't leave, I'm next. Just before he got nabbed, I used to chat to him on WeChat, that's the equivalent of WhatsApp. And he got nabbed and taken hostage and disappeared for a number of years by the Chinese government and very badly mistreated. But when they nabbed him, an acquaintance, because when they take people, they go through all of their contacts, they go through all of everything.
I had gotten harassed by a police officer who was asking me why I was flying a drone. Now, we had been flying drones for years. Turns out they were just looking for excuses to go after people like us who were doing videos or doing media, not on a journalist license and not painting the exact 100% clear picture that they wanted painted. What's being taught now is not that the rest of the world is your friend anymore or that China should cooperate. It's that China's better than you, and that country is bad. Right now, I'd say America is #1 top dog enemy. That could always change, by the way. China can get mad at a country like Canada or Germany or whatever. And I remember I was in an elevator one time, and for some bizarre reason, that day or that week or whatever, the Chinese government was mad at Germany. There's an old man in an elevator, and he said to me, where are you from? And I said, I'm from the US. And he said, you're not German? And I said, no. And he goes, good. Germany's our enemy. And I said, this is wild.
Yeah.
Like, I had to go look it up and figure out why.
Why do we allow the Communist Party of China to own real estate near U.S. military installations? Like, what are we doing?
You cannot own land in China as a foreigner.
No.
You can't own anything over there. You can't even own your own business over there. It's such a two-tiered system, and I hate it because they have taken advantage of every single loophole. They set up think tanks over here they steal taxpayer money to fund PLA rockets. The people's 401ks are being used to build China's military. I mean, they do all sorts of crazy things, and they're allowed to do it, and it's infuriating when you know what's going on and when you can understand what's going on.
Especially when there's been legislation, like, not to go back to the TikTok thing, there's been bipartisan legislation to say TikTok is bad, it's Chinese government affiliated, and it could be used for nefarious purposes.
It is used.
And it's still here. And do you think for 2 seconds that when China invades Taiwan or goes through some military operation, that they're not going to mobilize all those hundreds of millions of Americans' devices to completely sway their opinion in a massive psyop on TikTok? Of course they are.
I personally know in my life people that they don't take it a step farther than what they see with their finger.
Yes.
And they don't take a breath and ask themselves, is what I'm seeing on this device reflective at all of what I'm seeing in my real life? That to me is the more of a worry of AI, a tsunami of just unstoppable information, while at the meantime, an actor like China, a nation state actor, is doing something like that.
They are. This is very worrying because, what we do is we debunk Chinese propaganda. It's pretty much the biggest part of what we do. And we've seen it go from laughable stuff because they always screw up. Their English is bad. They think things are cool, which are not cool. It's very easy to point fingers and laugh. But now they're using ChatGPT and other things to write their propaganda. Yep. Now the comments when they attack people in the bots, instead of like bad English,
like you are a white pig liar.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's a very well-crafted response. Yeah. They're starting to use AI in their propaganda, and it's very effective, and it's getting harder and harder to combat.
The party is taking away more and more freedoms every day from the Chinese people, cracking down more and more on everything in Chinese people's lives. And at the same time, lying and coercing and cheating and hacking and stealing the West's assets. And they're trying to get the West to willfully donate into their system or participate in their system, all at the same time while trying to infiltrate those systems and get their people, their government's influence, and get their wartime scenario plans like hacking infrastructure and hacking the water supply and electric grids and all that kind of stuff, all laid out so that the West, when push comes to shove, when we do end up in a situation where there is conflict with China, they have so many tools to be able to coerce the West into stopping.